Welcome to the deep dive. So, you wanted to get smart fast on platforms, audience engagement, that kind of thing. So today we're diving headfirst into Derral Eves's The YouTube Formula. Think of this as your cheat sheet for understanding how YouTube really works. And, the secrets to building an audience, whether you're dreaming of going viral or maybe just curious why you see the videos you do.
Exactly. And the YouTube formula gives you a pretty clear roadmap, right, for understanding YouTube's inner workings and how to actually connect with viewers. Our goal isn't just to summarize it, but to really pull out the core ideas, the principles, and some surprising stuff Eve shares.
Okay, let's get into it. What struck me right off the bat about Eves' story? Well, he didn't exactly start as some digital whiz kid. He actually, walked away from a stable job to be an entrepreneur. And then he really struggled initially to get his graphic design business going.
Yeah, it really shows that everyone starts somewhere, right? Often facing big hurdles.
Totally. That initial struggle to find clients, I mean, so many people can relate to that.
It is. And it brings up this crucial idea Eves hits on early. Before you jump to solutions, you have to define the problem clearly. He mentions his father's advice, and even like Einstein's focus on really understanding the problem first.
Right, getting to the core issue.
Yeah, and that theme, it kind of runs through his whole approach to YouTube as well.
Absolutely. So let's look at those early business lessons. That first attempt, telemarketing website design. I mean, only getting 2 takers out of 200 calls. That sounds rough.
Oh, definitely. It really shows how tough it was, especially back then, trying to sell something like website design over the phone. People didn't really get it yet. But here's the interesting part. He didn't just, throw in the towel. He shifted his whole strategy.
Right. The pivot to physically delivering business cards seems almost old school now, but it was clearly a game changer. He talks about that pounce moment, the client holds a nice card, feels the quality.
Exactly, that positive reaction.
And then he brings up the website.
Yeah, that tangible first impression, that direct interaction. It built a connection. A cold call just couldn't. And the results were, well, pretty amazing. Almost every card delivery led to a website client. It really shows the power of that human touch.
It really does. But then those website jobs,
Yeah.
they were one-offs, right?
Yeah.
Which led to another problem.
Yeah, the constant hustle, always chasing the next client, just not stable.
And that's where his dad's second piece of advice came in.
Exactly. Focus on keeping the clients you have. Build recurring revenue. That's like business 101 for sustainability.
So his solution was hosting, Fatboy hosting, right? And website ranking services, getting that monthly income. It's also wild remembering those early search directories. He mentions Yahoo, Excite, Ask Jeeves.
Alta Vista. Yeah, it feels like ancient history now compared to Google. And the World Wide Web was still kind of a new thing for many businesses.
Such a different landscape. Okay, let's fast forward a bit. YouTube itself, the story that how he found it. A Craigslist contest for an iPod Nano in 2005. It's pretty random.
It's one of those lucky breaks, And the really fascinating part, YouTube wasn't supposed to be what it became. Its original idea was a dating site.
No way.
Yeah, and apparently it completely flopped.
Wow. So that's a huge lesson right there.
It is, because the founders didn't just cling to their failed idea. They looked at what people were actually doing, which was, sharing video. So they pivoted hard. And that really embodies the YouTube formula he talks about. Try something, fail, analyze the data, adjust, repeat.
And then, boom, explosive growth, Google buys them. It shows how vital it is to adapt based on user behavior. Okay, so we've got the origin story. Now, how does YouTube actually work today? The algorithm, what's the high-level view?
Well, at its core, it's all driven by AI, artificial intelligence. Eves explains this AI is constantly analyzing everything, the thumbnail visuals, every single frame of the video, looking for objects, brands, checking for safety.
Like a super smart digital detective scrutinizing every upload. And the YouTube homepage now.
It's so different from the old days, right? It's not just your subscriptions. Not at all. It's evolved into this really personalized feed. YouTube sorts things into familiar content stuff from channels you watch a lot and discovered content. Those are new videos, new channels that people with similar tastes to you have liked. The whole goal is just keep you watching, keep you engaged with fresh stuff.
Which leads right into the up next feature, the suggested videos. It's like YouTube reading your mind. Sometimes.
Kind of. And it's not random. The algorithm suggests more videos from the same creator, naturally. Also videos on similar topics and videos that other people watched right after the one you just finished. And they even have that watch something else option now if it thinks you want a total change, but still based on your history.
Okay, one thing that trips people up. Trending versus just popular. What's the actual difference?
Yeah, good question. Eves clarifies that trending is more like what's buzzing across the internet right now. Think of it as the digital water cooler talk. It's often tied to specific locations, news events, big conversations happening online. Popular is more about sustained long-term viewership. And the trending tab often favors more authoritative sources, too.
Right, because the YouTube figures those have broader appeal or reliability. Okay, so with this super smart AI and algorithm, why do so many YouTube channels still, struggle?
The million-dollar question. Eves points out a really common mistake, focusing only on views or subscriber counts, those vanity metrics. While they matter a bit, true success, the sustainable kind, usually links back to monetization, how you actually make money. But his main point here is pretty blunt. It's not YouTube, it's you.
Ouch. That's direct. But it's about taking responsibility, I guess.
Exactly. Instead of blaming the platform, creators need to look inward, look at their own content. Why isn't it connecting? They need to actively hunt for patterns in successful videos in their niche. What are they doing with titles, thumbnails, descriptions, the video hooks? And crucially, dive into their YouTube analytics. Understand who their audience is, demographically, and how they behave.
He tells that story about guessing ZHC's channel demographics just by spotting patterns in YouTube data, right?
Yeah. It perfectly illustrates how powerful understanding that data can be. And it reinforces the idea that success isn't static. Even big channels have to keep analyzing, keep adjusting. Audiences change, tastes shift. You can't just coast.
Makes sense. Okay, let's talk money. The YouTube Partner Program. That's the main ad revenue stream. How does that work, basically?
Yep, that's the foundation for many. It's essentially a revenue share. Advertisers pay YouTube to place ads on videos. The display ads, search ads, the video ads before, during, or after the content. When someone sees an ad on your video, the advertiser pays YouTube, YouTube takes his cut, and gives the rest to you, the creator.
And we always hear CPM and RPM. Can you break those down quickly?
Sure. CPM is cost per mil, or cost per 1,000 impressions. That's what the advertiser pays. RPM is revenue per mil. That's what the creator sees. It reflects their total earnings from ads, memberships, super chats, all that stuff per 1,000 video views. Eves notes YouTube's getting better about showing RPM, which is super helpful for creators to gauge how well their content is actually earning.
Got it. Now, as a creator, do you pick the specific ads that run? Like, can I say only show ads for kittens?
Not quite. Eves explains that advertisers target demographics and interests. They decide where their ads show up based on who they want to reach. So the same ad could appear on wildly different videos. You, as the creator, can set general categories and types of ads allowed on your channel, but you don't handpick the brands.
Okay. And he mentioned some higher tiers, too. Google Preferred, YouTube Selects.
Right. Those are premium programs. For advertisers wanting their ads next to the absolute top-tier, most brand-safe, highly engaging content. Google Preferred, for instance, targets the top 5% of channels. YouTube uses this P-score algorithm. The Ps are things like popularity, watch time, platform, big screen viewing, passion, engagement, protection, safety, production quality. Channels in these programs usually get much better ad rates. YouTube Selects lets advertisers buy into curated content lineups matching their target customer, guaranteeing safety and reach.
Interesting. That Aura Brush story he uses, turning a failing product into a huge brand with a viral YouTube ad. That's pretty incredible.
It's a classic example. It shows how YouTube totally changed the game for advertising, letting a small company reach a massive audience directly. Even, a product like a tongue cleaner could find its tribe online.
So ad revenue is one piece, but YouTube offers more, right? How else do creators build a business?
Absolutely. Eves talks a lot about influencer marketing, brand deals, sponsorships. That's become huge. He tells the story of Jessica Hatch from Gone of the Snow Dogs. She realized the power of her audience and started reaching out to brands directly. Eventually, her income from those deals actually overtook her ad revenue.
Wow, that's a significant shift, moving beyond just relying on YouTube's ad system.
Totally. And he mentions the Slice Men Rice channel, too, a real rags to riches story showing the platform's life-changing potential. The key there, and with influencer marketing generally, is authenticity. Building that real trust with your audience. Eves has a great line, weak brands piggyback off of influencers. Good brands are the influencers.
That's a great way to put it. And then there's building your own brand, selling your own products.
Exactly. The cute girls hairstyles example is perfect. Started as a blog, blew up on YouTube, and then they launched their own successful product lines, Heritage, Lash Next Door. And Mindy Moak's advice resonates. Focus on passion, not just the money or fame. If you love it and you explore different avenues, opportunities often follow.
And the Missouri Star Quilt Company. I loved that one. A small-town quilt shop becomes quilting Disneyland, making millions. It just proves that even super niche interests can find massive, passionate communities online.
It's a fantastic story. It really drives home Eve's point. No matter your niche, no matter how small you start, there's huge potential if you're strategic and think long term.
Okay, so strategy is key. But how do you even figure out who you're making content for? How do you find and understand that audience?
Right, this is where he introduces the avatar concept.
Yeah.
It's crucial. He warns against the spaghetti approach, just throwing random stuff out there and seeing what sticks. No, you need a tactical focus. You need to define your ideal viewer, your avatar.
And it starts with passion, right? Making good stuff about something you actually care about.
Definitely. That passion attracts like-minded people. Once you have that starting point, it's about understanding their micro moments. Those I want to triggers. Go, do, buy. What's their intent when they come online? Thinking about that helps you create relevant content.
And then he has this detailed exercise for defining that avatar, digging into demographics, psychographics, their attitudes, values, their online behavior, where they hang out, what they watch, their why, and even their offline habits like buying patterns and hobbies. It's super in-depth.
Yeah, it's about building a really complete profile, knowing who you're talking to. Once you have that avatar in mind, the next step is reconnaissance, basically research.
Like treating viewers as potential customers you need to attract and keep.
Exactly. And this loops back to that amazing Squatty Potty story, the unicorn pooping rainbow ice cream. Remember how they unexpectedly found the Brody community on Reddit? Adult fans of My Little Pony? They weren't the target buyers, but they were passionate about unicorns. So they became this valuable focus group for understanding that specific interest.
That's brilliant, finding passionate communities, even unexpected ones, to learn from.
It really shows the value of digging into online communities where people with specific interests gather. He also uses the example of The Chosen, the series about Jesus. Their research showed their target audience, church-going women, 25-45, were mostly on Facebook and Instagram, not YouTube initially.
So you got to do the legwork, find out where your audience actually is. And he gives actionable steps. Research top creators in your niche, see what works for them, analyze popular videos, watch how communities engage.
Absolutely. Gather that intel. But data alone isn't enough. You need to connect, and that comes down to storytelling and making engaging content.
He brings up those classic, memorable ads, right? Wendy's, where's the beef? Dunkin's time to make the donuts. Those impactful PSAs, they stick with you.
They do. And he suggests analyzing things like SNL sketches. Why are they funny? How do they create memorable moments? Or even iconic Super Bowl ads. What makes them so powerful and shareable?
And he maps out that universal story structure. Hook, re-engagement, setup, climax, the goosh, that satisfying payoff, and the wrap-up. He shows how it applies everywhere, from Seinfeld to a Wendy's commercial. It's about keeping people hooked.
It really emphasizes grabbing attention fast and delivering on your promise in a way that resonates. Okay, so you're making content, telling stories. Now you need to know if it's working. Enter YouTube analytics.
Right, the data dashboard. He uses the 4 Ws to break it down.
Exactly. Who is watching? Demographics, viewing habits, not just the basics. Where are they coming from? Traffic sources are key. What content performs best? Your key metrics, watch time, retention. And when are your viewers typically online? Answering these 4 questions is crucial for smart decisions.
And he really flags those traffic source reports, browse, suggested videos as vital signs of how the algorithm sees your content.
Yeah, they tell you if YouTube is actually recommending your stuff to new people.
Yeah.
Super important. Yeah. Now, getting that initial click, title and thumbnail, he says everything starts with a click.
So true. Doesn't matter how great the video is if nobody clicks. I liked his son's campaign slogan. No slogan, just Logan. Simple, memorable.
It perfectly illustrates the point. Grab attention in a crowded space. He talks about impressions, how often your thumbnail gets shown, and how click-through rate, CTR, impacts reach. High CTR tells YouTube people are interested.
And he gets really specific about thumbnails' visual hierarchy, size, shape, color psychology, expressions, objects, text scale, even organized clutter. It's a science. He even mentions Netflix A/B testing thumbnails like crazy.
It's amazing how much goes into that tiny image. And for titles, it's about answering the viewer's why, their need or question, with a clear what, the keywords telling them what the video delivers. He gives tons of strategies: active voice, trending topics, numbers and lists, problem solution, urgency, trusted sources, direct address, emotional words, attention grabbers. Plus, mentioning tools like TubeBuddy and vidIQ to help find keywords and craft titles.
Okay, click secured. Now you need the plan. The overall YouTube content strategy. Because just winging it won't work with millions of channels out there.
Not a chance. Eves makes it clear. A solid content strategy is non-negotiable. Key parts: consistency in uploading, big focus on audience retention, keep them watching. Using engagement triggers, likes, comments, shares, having a clear channel identity and branding. Using playlists effectively, collaborating with others, engaging via community posts and stories, planning around big events or trends, and creating content buckets or categories.
Right, grouping videos thematically so people can binge watch more easily.
Exactly. Helps viewers find more of what they like. He also talks about telling your creation story, the origin of your channel or brand. It builds connection. Think about Apple's story.
And that idea, the people are the brand. Building that loyal community, listening to them, like the piano guys did.
Yeah, it shifts the focus. It's not just about the videos, it's the community around them. Okay, final step. You've made the video, optimized it. How do you launch and promote it right?
He says the upload isn't the end, it's just the beginning of the next phase.
Precisely.
Yeah.
You got to watch the data right away, see how it's doing, and be ready to react. Key things at launch: that killer custom thumbnail, catchy title with keywords up front, good description with keywords above the fold so people see them, using cards and end screen smart linking to maybe a specific target video, and using YouTube's best for viewer option, and of course a clear verbal call to action in the video.
And promotion isn't just hoping for the best.
Definitely not. Eves pushes for a blended approach. Organic reach, sure, but also leverage your existing audience community posts, stories, and maybe, strategically, using targeted ads to reach new potential viewers. He used that Studio C and Brooklyn and Bailey collab as an example of a smart blended strategy reaching new eyes.
Wow, okay. This has been a really comprehensive deep dive into the YouTube formula. It feels like, boiling it all down, success on YouTube, whether creating or just understanding, really hinges on knowing your audience deeply, providing value, adapting constantly based on data and feedback, and just mastering how to grab and keep attention. The platform's evolution, all these strategies, it really shows that constant dance between creators, the algorithm, and, well, us watching.
Absolutely. And it leaves you, the listener, with a thought, right? How can these ideas, understanding the why, crafting compelling what's, apply beyond YouTube to any communication, any learning you do? What were those aha moments for you during this discussion that might change how you approach information, either finding or sharing it?
That's a great question to chew on. And look, if this deep dive got you thinking and you want even more detail, more examples, we definitely recommend checking out Derral Eves' book, The YouTube Formula, and all the resources that go with it. There's a ton more in there if you want to dig deeper into building a presence or just satisfy that curiosity about how online video really works.